What's up, guys? Back here with another video for you. I'm sure you've already noticed I got a new cell phone, so now you can see my hideous face in full HD. So hopefully that improves the quality of my videos, maybe bringing it up to maybe a 2 out of 10, hopefully, for you. But today I'm going to be hopping on the bandwagon of, or I guess hopping on the train of which pulled out of this station about 2 years ago, because I saw this video idea going around however long ago. I think it was almost 2 years at this point, and I just never did it. Because I did the 20 albums that got me into death metal tag a couple years back, and I saw that the 20 albums that got you into black metal tag was going around. So I'm gonna hop on it now because I feel like it. And I'm doing 15. I'm not gonna do 20. I didn't feel like doing 20, and I really didn't want to start, pushing to force things into this video. So what we're listening to in the background is a top shelf Finnish death metal release, Amorphous' Tale from a Thousand Lakes. Tale from the Thousand Lakes. I woke up and I was in the mood for it, so here we are. So basically I'm going to start off with my stuff that got me into it first. The first ever black metal release I heard was Dimmu Borgir's, or Dimmu Borgir, or whatever, Death Cult Armageddon. I heard this for the first time as, I wouldn't even know when to put it, maybe a freshman in high school, and I saw the t-shirt, which I have in my closet over there, which I did not feel the need to take out for whatever reason. I heard this off of seeing that t-shirt for the first time. I saw it at Goodwill and I was like, oh, that's cool looking. I bought that, and then I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's death metal. Because I had no idea what I was talking about. It was definitely not death metal. It still isn't death metal, but it was Dimmu Borgir. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I wore that shirt around for a while, kind of as a little bit of a posery kid, because I had no clue what I was, looking at. I didn't know what it was. But I wound up going back and listening to it. I started watching some YouTube videos, and I wound up getting really into it, basically based off of this. So this is the first thing I ever saw. This back in, as a child, I remember watching like the video for Gateways on like Comcast On Demand. If you guys had Comcast back in the 2000s, they had like the on demand setting where you could watch music videos. And me being me, I was going for the metal, and I went for, the classic country. I guess back then classic to me would have been Johnny Cash and Alan Jackson and Kenny Chesney, but I don't know about Kenny Chesney much nowadays. So yeah, Dimmu Borgir. Next, Harkonnens, Serpents of the Light. This is one of the first black metal albums I ever bought. Sorry for the dead lady boobies, but this is a Missouri-based kind of black thrash band. They are pretty stripped down, but not raw. The riffs aren't ridiculous. They're really entertaining. Really catchy. I listened to this quite a bit when I was getting into black metal. I don't even think I thought of the genre tag as anything to do with black metal when I got a hold of it. I picked up the CD at a local shop. I was like, alright, I'm going to get some metal. Whatever metal I can get a hold of, here we are. I'm pretty sure I bought this, if you watched my death metal tag, I bought this in the same lot as my 6 Feet Under, Death Rituals, Obituaries, Cause of Death, stuff like that. So yeah, another really early one from the same shop. The next two are from the same shop. This is Dead Knight with Messenger of Death. This is Dissection Worship from Chicago. I didn't hear Dissection at this point when I picked this up, and I wound up hearing it, and I was like, wow, this is really sick. I thought this was chock full of really cool riffs, weird melodies, especially being a crossover thrash kid and a doom metal kid at the time. I'd be listening to Pagan Altar and like Witchcraft and whatever, and then like friggin' Lost Society and Municipal Waste and all that kind of crap. And then hearing stuff like this and Dimmu Borgir and Harkonnen was just weird. And it was a whole different ballgame for me from then on, really. This is a great record. If you guys haven't heard this, seriously go check this out. It's put out on Rotting Corpse Records out of Chicago. I don't know all that much about Rotting Corpse, but I have heard the name mentioned a couple times in passing. Another one from the same store, also bought incredibly early. This is Shining 5. I don't know why I bought this beyond the shock value of the front cover. This is not something most 13 and 14 year olds, I believe, would have picked up. But it's great. It's super depressive. There's all kinds of shock value for your angsty teenage mind, and it's just weird. And I listened to this for the first time, and I almost had to turn it off. I remember being in a car, or maybe I was driving. I don't even particularly remember. Maybe I don't remember exactly off the top of my head when I particularly bought this. I know it was very early, but I remember hearing like the crying samples in the background, and it made me feel just this overwhelming sense of dread, and it was just a lot. But yeah, Shining 5, awesome stuff. Next, Behemoth with the album Satanist. This is definitely something that I mentioned in my death metal video as well. Behemoth was another one of those Comcast on-demand metal music video bands for me, and I was obsessed for the longest time with Wacken Open Air's version of Blow Your Trumpets Gabriel, and it was just something that I thought was super cool. And then I saw the Slave Shall Serve music video as a kid, so I guess this could also be considered some of the first black metal. I also heard the band Wicked Witch from, I think they're Italian or Spanish, but they're really good too. Really creepy female-fronted black metal. But the Satanist by Behemoth. Next, also a pretty early one for me. I don't know how early I would really say, but I got into it on YouTube. This is Immortal with Sons of Northern Darkness. I got really obsessed with the tune Tyrants. I really thought it was cool. I really like the tune One by One because they have that ridiculous music video. Possibly the greatest disc tray art of all time. Bar none whatsoever. But Immortal still putting out bangers even without Abbott nowadays, which is super awesome to see. But you know, I heard this and I really liked the goofiness that Abbott brought to the band. I like his little scuffle that he does across the stage. I thought his vocals were really cool. It's just all kinds of goofiness all wrapped up into one awesome package full of great metal. Next, Gorgoroth, Under the Sign of Hell. So this is a band that I remember sitting in my high school's library and watching YouTube videos, and I stumbled upon that Krakow show that's really infamous and even in the mainstream metal community with Gorgoroth on YouTube, and I was like, wow, this is possibly the most ridiculous and messed up thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I wound up repeatedly watching it, showing people like what metal was all about in high school, because you know I grew up in a farm town, so it's quite the hefty amount of shock value to even see, you know, a Cannibal Corpse like band photo, let alone a Gorgoroth live set from that show. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. But yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine what those people who had not a clue in the world what metal was about were thinking. But Gorgoroth. Next, Mayhem, Live in Leipzig. I mean, come on now. This is just such a classic black metal release. One of the most infamous, one of the most important black metal albums of all time. Even as Fenriz puts it on the commentaries of some of the early Darkthrone records, I think he might have mentioned it in the Blaze in the Northern Sky one. This is where Necro came from. The idea of Necro black metal, the super hefty, loud vocals right up in your face, and then the nasty guitar tones in the background, the fast blast. Blame Fenriz. This is where Necro came from. Top shelf. I loved this. I love the extremity. I love hearing Dead scream his foolish head off. Great stuff. Next, so I guess this shouldn't be considered one that got me into it as much as one that made me love it early on, which is kind of the case with the rest of these, except maybe one more, because these aren't really in any particular order. But yeah, so I was starting to like the stuff that I showed you already, and then I started watching like Count Blagroth videos here on YouTube, which obviously Count Blagroth has been very important for a lot of people in the metal community, I'm sure. And he was talking about this band, and I was all about it. Perceiving the World with Hate by Streeborg. So first off, check out that awesome Tasmanian rainforest picture. Top shelf. I talked to Sinana a little bit on Facebook a couple years ago when I was purchasing the Procession of Lost Souls special edition that came with the CD and the t-shirt and the string bag, which is what I use for gigging. I keep all my cables and microphones and such in there when I play shows. So yeah, I roll up as a folk singer with a Streeborg bag. Not once have I ever gotten into a conversation about black metal, and it's incredibly disappointing, I must say. But yeah, Streeborg, it's got this super really awesome, raw, nasty, really churning kind of emotive sound to them. It's really slow, and it kind of has this sound to it. Kind of does this, you know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it, but Streeborg, man, top shelf. Another really early one for me. I got into this way before I got into black metal. I don't even know if I really knew about death metal all that much either. I kind of knew it as like, oh, it's black thrash or whatever, and I didn't know what that meant. And now I wouldn't even call them that. It's Beyond the Permafrost by Skeleton Witch. I also mentioned this in my death metal video, because they are obviously one that transcends genres pretty well. Classic tune. Absolutely classic tune. But, you know, I listened to this and I really latched on to, you know, stuff like Fire from the Sky, and then the song Soul Thrashing Black Sorcery. That intro solo is just ripping. And I love Chance Garnett's vocals. Honestly, one of my top 5 favorite metal vocalists of all time. And the fact that he employs the Abbott in all of his stuff all the time, I wish he would return to Skeleton Witch. The band has never been the same, ever. Not even close to nearly as good since Chance has not been in the band. But, you know, I just love this. It's super catchy. This is friggin' riff-orama, dude. The Garnetts, Chance, and I think it's Nate, is jokingly Nate Feet Under, something stupid like that. I love it. I can't tell you how much I love this record. Skeleton Witch rules. Alright, back to ones where I had never heard black metal, and I was like, hey, what's this atmospheric stuff all about that Count Blagroth is always yakking about here on the YouTubes? This is Blood in Our Wells by Druke. Druke is a Ukrainian band that is not super out there. They're very straight up, right in your face, atmospheric black metal. There's not really any keyboards. There's like occasional folk instruments, and I know, if I remember right, a lot of their lyrics are about ancient Slavic traditionalism and stuff like that. Being Ukrainian, that would make good sense. This is a Season of Mystery Trust. But I was hearing this, and I was like, wow, this is really awesome. And I wound up kind of always recalling back to this anytime somebody would talk about black metal, and anytime somebody, even I think to this day, talks about Druke, this is the first thing that comes to my mind. And Druke was something that I found really early on, and associating it with thinking about going out in the woods and stuff, which is something I've been doing my entire life. I grew up hunting, I grew up fishing, I grew up hiking, all that fun stuff. So being in the woods is a natural thing, and anything that reminds me of such things is going to earn a great place in my heart. And it just so happened that this top shelf record wound up being a really early one for me. Next, Isa by Enslaved. Also, a early music video that I viewed on Comcast On Demand was Issa, the tune Issa. I still adore this record. It's still probably my favorite Enslaved album. I like this more than Held, better than Frost, all of that, which is, I know, blasphemy in the true cult black metal eyes, but whatever, bro. You guys are dumb. Whatever. But Issa is a great record. I really enjoyed the whole duo between the harsh vocals and the clean vocals, and I never really understood what this was supposed to be because of it. And it's, obviously we're listening to Amorphous. It's something I get really into. This whole Issa, the chorus, the Issa, that's such a good part. It's super catchy. It gets stuck in my head all the time, and more than likely I'm going to walk around humming that in my head for the rest of the day, now that I thought about it. I am sick to death of talking about this album. I hope I don't talk about this for the next 10 years on my YouTube channel. This is Philosophum by Burzum. This is something that got me really early on into it. I could also put like A Blaze in the Northern Sky or Under a Funeral Moon, because I was sitting there like washing the dishes as a kid, looking out my window to a bunch of snow, listening to this and Dark Throne. Same thing, I was also shoveling. I mentioned that in a different video too. It's all kind of the same general time frame. My early high school years. I don't know what it is that got me into loving it so much, but I heard Dunkelheit, and I also heard like the ambient stuff, and I was like, what is this? What is this crap? But I didn't like it at the time. But I'm a big fan of that whole ambient sound nowadays. I really like the dungeon synth, and honestly, if your black metal band doesn't have keyboards nowadays, you're kind of lacking in my mood as of late. So, Philosophum, one of the originators of that, and definitely deserves every single ounce of praise. This is one that I picked up, and just for whatever reason, I have weird memories of listening to it at my grandma's house. I would like go there and like, we'd have like Thanksgiving or something, or we'd be cleaning or something, and she had a little stereo, not like a nice one, like I have a whole stereo setup, not like that. It's like one of those ones that has speakers built into it, and you drop the CD in the front, you gotta close it, it's friggin' vertical, so it's like, and then you gotta stick it in here and stick it to the thing, and then it closes back up, and two speakers pushing out at you like that. I was listening to this, Celestial Lineage by Wolves in the Throne Room. I loved the intro to this album. I still love this intro. It's one of my favorites ever to this day. The female vocals and this like really spacey kind of ethereal, out there in the mist kind of instrumentation that's going on. It's like keyboards and like chimes and all this greatness. And then, the music kicks in, and it's just this dense, thick atmosphere. And first off, one of my favorite band photos ever. Look at how gorgeous this area is. I think these guys are from Washington or Oregon, and I believe it's both men and women. At least that's what it was when I saw them, and frankly, I could care less about that. But the band itself is top tier. And this is something that made me love black metal. And last thing I'm going to talk about today, I don't remember where I heard about this first. Knowing me and my taste, it was probably Sean, Count Gorgoroth. It also could have certainly been Wyatt X Ham, because he was indeed obsessed with this album for a long time when I first started watching him. This is, how do you pronounce this friggin' thing? Orta? I don't know. Solstice. So this isn't actually proper black metal. They started off as this weird kind of goofy experimental black metal band, but they kind of, I don't want to say devolved, but changed into this really emotive, atmospheric post-rock band. And it's just some of the weirdest stuff I could think of nowadays. I'm a big fan, and my full-on nerdy brain made me keep this hype sticker, and I'm sure glad I did. It's awesome how they describe it. The heathen-hearted Icelanders deliver a fantastic album that transcends all genre borders. Recommended for fans of Enslaved, Primordial, Baroness, and Anathema. I don't know Anathema. I've heard Baroness. One of my buddies was really obsessed with them for a while. This is the first American pressing, and limited to 400 units. It says, so 400 copies. But, you know, this is just something that I really listened to, and it made me appreciate atmosphere. It made me understand that, hey, it's not all just catchy riffs and all that kind of stuff. You don't need to have to remember every single second of every album. You don't have to know all the words to all the songs. You don't need all of that all the time to enjoy a record, which makes good sense because, you know, the stuff that you'll sing along to is like freaking Bathory and stuff like this. You're not going to be singing along to, you know, Genevieve by Velvet Cocoon. Absolutely not. That is not karaoke music. So I appreciate that now, and it's mostly because of stuff like this. And, you know, this, I had to learn it the hard way, and I had to make myself listen to it. I had to make sure that I learned to appreciate it rather than just, oh, this clicked with me right away. No, I had to understand it before I could really love it. And that's the thing that I like so much about black metal, is it really challenges your listening habits. It really makes you want to think. It really brings soundscape to the forefront rather than catchy riffs and superficial things like that. Obviously, I do love a good riff. I am a kid that used to play in thrash metal band, and thrash metal is all about some riffage and some catchy lyrics and vocal patterns. And I still listen to that kind of stuff all the time. I've been listening to some thrash in the car lately. Thrash at home, kind of a lot of thrash actually. But yeah, so now that I'm done ranting, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you don't think I'm an absolute moron. You probably do, because I kind of do. But this is 15 albums that got me into black metal. I'll see you guys pretty soon. Keep it greasy.